Welcome back to the Delaware Way. It's going to sound unfair, but if you're a Delaware electricity user, your bills are going up, but most of that money will go to pay electricity that's going to New Jersey. Here to explain all that is Jeff Mordock, who is a reporter at the News Journal. Jeff, thanks for being back. This is a weird story, so let's try to work through it.
Sure.
It starts with nuclear plants at Artificial Island, right?
That's correct. And
where's that?
That is right across the Delaware River in New Jersey. It's in Salem County, and it's probably a little bit north of Delaware City if you were to go directly across the Delaware River.
And the cost is for what?
The cost is to build a transmission line that goes from Artificial Island to Delaware, and that's part of overall upgrades at Artificial Island. And what's interesting is that total project of upgrades was initially set to cost about $280 million, and the power line was going to be $137 million of that cost. But the operator of the grid, where the power comes from, PJM, which they're based up in Pennsylvania, came out in March and said that the initial cost estimates were too low, and that after looking at some of the other things they had to do, they increased the cost. So now it's gone from an estimate of $137 million to $272 million for the power line, which brings the cost of the total project from $280 million to over $400 million.
And so the state of Delaware went, whoa, and they took this to court, right?
They took this, actually, the first step is to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which is a federal agency that regulates such things. They denied it because they denied Delaware's request to reduce the cost, because PJM operates a grid. And Delaware's, New Jersey, and a couple other entities, or a couple other states, are part of the grid. And the way the grids operate throughout the country is, if you agree to be part of a grid, the grid then supervises cost allocation. And there are people who have argued that at times some states get the benefit of the cost allocation, that they're paying less and receiving more benefit, and other times they are not. And in this situation, Delaware's paying 90% of the cost, and they're only getting 10% of the benefit.
So they're getting 10% of the benefit. That means 10% of the energy is coming to Delaware.
That's correct.
But they're paying 90% of the cost for the project. So in essence, and most of the energy is going to New Jersey, the people in Delaware that are paying for electricity, when they see this increase in their bills, it'll be to pay for energy in New Jersey.
That's exactly right.
Which seems inherently unfair.
It's absolutely unfair. But you know, Delaware has bought into the grid, and it's up to PJM to allocate it, and this is how they've decided to allocate it. And what's going to happen now is Delaware's going to have to look for another way now that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission denied their appeal based on the belief that you know, this is part of the cost allocation that you agree to as being part of the PJM grid. So that leaves...
Well, they didn't agree to pay,
they didn't
pay 90% for 10%.
But they agreed to be part of the PJM grid, which subjects them to the cost allocation as PJM sees fit.
And there's no way out of that.
There's no way out of that, yeah.
But they have some appeals left. Well, first, let's talk about how much this is going to cost. What the average homeowner...
Well, the average homeowner, it's probably going to be about $3, depending on your usage, per month to your bill. But that's going to start adding up, especially if you're somebody on Social Security, fixed income. Where it's really going to hurt, though, is the businesses, because, again, it's based on usage. And with those businesses and the amount of electricity and energy they use, some of the large manufacturing facilities and other businesses in Delaware, they could see an increase of tens of thousands of dollars.
Is it over yet?
It is not over. The state has a couple of options. They have to file an appeal with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, asking them to reconsider their opinion, denying their motion. That they have to do that. Most likely, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission will deny that. But that's the first step they have to do before they can sue PJM in the district, or I'm sorry, sue the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission about their appeal in the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, because it's a federal agency, so the D.C. Court of Appeals would have authority.
And are they going to do that?
It looks like, well, first what they're going to do is they're going to go to PJM and ask them if they'll reduce the cost and see if they can work out some kind of agreement with PJM before they go and pursue legal options.
And when is this all going to happen?
Right now, it looks like in late May, they're going to go to PJM, probably May 25th, May 30th, sometime in that range, before Memorial Day.
And we'll read about it in the News Journal.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay.
Jeff Mordock, reporter for the News Journal. When we come back, Trails of Discovery. It's a new way of seeing Delaware. We'll tell you where the trails are and how you can walk them or drive them when Delaware Way continues.